All right, let's dive right in. The whole conversation around AI is starting to get a lot more specific. We're kind of moving past just the general term AI and starting to talk about different types of it. So today we're going to get crystal clear on two of the most important approaches that are really shaping our future: generative AI and agentic AI. So what is the real difference here? Well, in the simplest terms, one creates and the other acts. You could think of one as a creative partner for brainstorming and the other as an assistant that just gets stuff done. By the end of this, you'll know exactly which is which, how they both work, and most importantly, why this whole distinction really, really matters. So here's our game plan. First, we'll start with the AI that we're all pretty familiar with by now, generative AI. We'll call it the creator. Then we'll meet its counterpart, agentic AI, or the doer. After that, we'll see how they show up in the real world. We'll peek under the hood at the engine they actually share. And finally, we'll look ahead to what the future of AI collaboration looks like. Okay, first up, generative AI. Just think of this as your creative partner. This is the AI that helps you make things. Honestly, it's the one you've probably already used today. Now, the single most crucial thing to get about generative AI is that it's fundamentally reactive. It doesn't do a single thing on its own. It just waits for you. It absolutely needs your prompt, your instruction, your idea to kick it into gear. And what does it actually generate? Well, all sorts of content. We're talking about the text you get from a chatbot, those amazing images from an image generator, snippets of code to solve a tricky problem, or even custom audio tracks. These are all outputs from a generative system. So how does it actually work? Well, at its core, generative AI is really just an incredibly sophisticated pattern matching machine. It's learned all these statistical relationships between words or pixels or sounds from just massive, massive data sets. So when you give it a prompt, it's making a highly educated guess about what should come next. But here's the key. Its job ends right there, with that single piece of content. To do anything more, it always needs another prompt from you. Now let's flip to the other side of the coin, agentic AI. We're calling this one the doer. And if generative AI is the creator, this is the autonomous assistant. And right here is where we see the biggest difference. Where generative AI is reactive, agentic AI is fundamentally proactive. Yeah, it might start with a prompt from you, but it doesn't just generate a single response and stop. It takes your prompt as a goal, and then it pursues that goal through a whole series of actions. See, an agent operates in this continuous cycle. First, it perceives its environment. It looks at what's going on. Then it decides what to do next. It executes that action. And then, this is the critical part, it learns from the outcome of that action. This loop just keeps repeating, with minimal human help needed to keep it moving toward its goal. Okay, all this theory is great, but let's make it a bit more concrete. How do these two different approaches actually show up in the real world? Let's compare two different scenarios. Okay, imagine a YouTuber using generative AI. They're constantly prompting it. Give me script ideas. Okay, now make me some thumbnail concepts. Now find some background music. At every single step, the human is directing and refining. Now, think about a personal shopping agent. You give it one goal: buy this product. That's it. The agent then actively hunts for it, monitors the price, handles the entire checkout process, and coordinates the delivery. It only asks for your input if it gets completely stuck. So, one generates options, the other manages an entire process. This phrase right here, it perfectly sums up the relationship with generative AI. The AI's job is to create this huge range of possibilities based on what you asked for, but it's always the human's job to curate them, to choose, and to refine those possibilities into a final product. So we've got these two very different types of AI, right? The creator and the doer. But what if I told you that they often share the exact same engine? It's time to look under the hood. Here's the surprising truth. Both of these systems are often built on a common foundation: large language models, or LLMs. This is the core technology that's powering so much of the AI revolution we're all seeing. So how can one piece of tech do two totally different things? Well, for generative AI, like a chatbot, the LLM is the backbone. It's the thing that's actually generating the text. But for agentic AI, that very same LLM becomes the reasoning engine. It's the cognitive part of the system that allows it to think and make decisions. And this thinking process actually has a name. It's called chain of thought reasoning. This is where an agent uses the LLM to break a really complex task down into smaller, logical, manageable steps. It's almost like the agent is talking to itself, creating this internal dialogue to figure out a problem before it takes any action in the real world. For instance, let's imagine an agent that's been tasked with planning a conference. Its inner monologue, all powered by that LLM, might sound something like this. Okay, first, I need to fully understand the conference requirements. What's the size, the duration, the budget? Got it. Next, I should research venues that actually match those parameters. And then, for the venues that are a good fit, I now need to go check their availability. It's this step-by-step logic that is the cognitive engine driving all the agent's actions. So, we've seen the creator and the doer. We've seen how they work and what's powering them. The big question is, where does this all lead? Let's take a look at the future of how we're actually going to work with AI. The most powerful AI systems of the future won't make us choose. It's not going to be generative versus agentic. The real future is an integration of both capabilities into a single, seamless system. You should think of it as an intelligent collaborator. This future AI will be smart enough to understand when a situation calls for brainstorming and exploring a ton of options. That's it using its generative side. But it will also know when it's time to commit to a plan and actually take action, and that's its agentic side. It'll be able to seamlessly switch between being a creator and a doer, all within the same task. So, let me leave you with this. When this technology is fully realized, when you have an intelligent collaborator that can both create and do, what's the very first complex task you would give it? That's something to think about.